we'll see how this goes with me by myself. Making sure everything is set up. Pretty much as ready as we're gonna be, so we might as well just get it started here. Hey, what's up, guys? Wild High 77 back. Oh, Wild High 77. Welcome to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I am Chris Stolle. Wild High 77 is because I'm looking at the Twitch TV screen. I'm used to doing that when I'm doing the Let's Play videos on Press A Gaming. Welcome to Breaking the Fourth Wall. As you can tell, I'm alone. God help me, I'm alone. The reason of being, unfortunately, Brian had a, well, not unfortunately for him, but unfortunately for us, Brian Millard had a family engagement. So, he will not be joining us tonight. You guys are stuck with me. I'm going to try to make it as painless as I possibly can. But essentially what I'm hoping to pull off here is, one, we'll run through some different stories and stuff that I have pulled up, give my opinion on it, and hopefully by then we'll have some other viewers involved and hopefully turn this into a Q&A because I've got a lot of time to fill in here. So, without further ado, first and foremost, I want to give a moment of silence. It is this is being recorded on September 11th. I know I'm recording this at late at night, but of course everybody knows what happened September 11th, 2001. And we here Breaking the Fourth Wall. We just want to give a moment of respect for those lives lost. So. All right, thank you. All right, guys. First and foremost, I wanted to hit in on here. Actually, I was really hoping Brian would be here for this one. I did not read this article yet, okay? But it has been reported. Well, the question has been asked, should DC recast or reboot Superman if Henry Cavill drops the role? First off, again, I don't know any rumors or stories. Is Henry Cavill talking about leaving the role? If he is, no. I hate to say it, but no. This guy's been the best Superman since Christopher Reeve. There's no secret here. I'm more of a Batman fan than a Superman fan. That's why I wish Brian was here, because Brian's nuts for the Man of Steel. But no, I don't. Well, it really depends. If it serves the story and they can find somebody who could fit the role, then sure. Just like with anything, any role could be can be recast if the right person is there. But I mean, this guy was the first Superman who was beloved like Christopher Reeve, but actually looked like Superman, had the build, the physique, You know, the boyish good looks and all that stuff. I mean, I like Man of Steel. I liked, for the most part, Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and I liked Justice League. All three things that I'd seen Henry Cavill as Superman in. You know, I liked him as Superman in those roles. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one. I definitely wouldn't reboot it. If you did recast, which I guess if he left you would have to, because I'm sure DC has more plans for the Man of Steel. But if you had to recast, I wouldn't reboot. I wouldn't. The storyline is fine the way it is, and I mean, we're not talking about like Spider-Man here, where Amazing needed a reboot because Amazing 2 was terrible, you know. So yeah, my personal opinion is I would leave it alone. I would keep Henry Cavill if I could, but if I can't, I would just continue on without him and find another Superman. That's my feeling. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, or if you catch on Twitch here later, you know, leave a comment in the chat. I'll check it out. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Predator movie review. I don't know shit about the Predator movie. I haven't watched a Predator movie since the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. I really have no real interest. I mean, to be fair, the last time I saw the Predator was the AVP franchise, and we all know how that was. As far as this new movie, I've been hearing good rumors about it. I don't personally have a review of it myself, but I've been hearing decent reviews about it. So take that for what it's worth, man. I get the impression that it's going to be a movie that works for Predator fans, and I'm just not one. I tried the second movie, didn't fit. The AVPs, I was rooting for the aliens. Actually, I was rooting for the end credits so I can go home. But, I mean, you know, I was rooting for the aliens in that fight, including in the comic books back in the day on the Dark Horse Comics. So, truth be told, I just never held my interest. So, sorry about that, guys. Let's see here. Drowning. That one is pretty impressive. The Nun conjures up a franchise record $53 million opening weekend. That's pretty impressive for a that is really impressive for a horror movie. It's very rare that horror movies are able to drum up that much money, considering the fact that it's just like fan base that actually even handles don't know what's going on with that yet. Hold on. That really handles the horror genre, if you will. And I mean I know like there were certain ones that were considered hits. I mean Scream did pretty well if I remember correctly, and of course like some of your more profound horror movies or horror franchises did pretty well, at least at some point or another. But I mean, an opening weekend box office for a horror flick is pretty impressive. So I'll go with that. Avengers 4 ending still hasn't been decided. Of course it hasn't been decided because it hasn't fully been written yet. Look, they gave us a hell of a film in Avengers Infinity War. So Avengers 4, like, where do you go from there? You know what I mean? The biggest problem from Infinity 3, or Avengers 3 or Infinity Wars, for those that, you know, however you want to look at it, the biggest problem with writing 4 was, you know, where do we go from the ending? And it's spoiler territory for those that may not have seen the movie yet. You know, but there's a lot of shit that happened in that movie that you got to contend with throughout majority of the film in 4. And no, I'm not talking about like Thanos 1. Of course, that's going to be the whole movie, contending with that. But I mean, certain aspects of how Thanos won will have to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's this is the way it is, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe has changed forever, or well, here's how we're going to do this, this, and this to set things right, if you will. You know what I mean? So, of course, that is the meat and potatoes of the movie. That not necessarily knowing how it's going to end makes sense to me, because who knows? Maybe they're going to give you another cliffhanger. Maybe 4 isn't going to be the resolution. Maybe they'll turn this part of the Avengers storyline into a trilogy. Maybe it'll be a 3-part movie instead of a 2-part movie. Because if you remember correctly, Infinity Wars was supposed to be part 1, part 2, and instead they turned it into a Avengers 3 and an Avengers 4. So it makes perfect sense that if they don't have an ending yet, maybe they're thinking, well, maybe we could stretch the story into 5. And that would make perfect sense to me. And quite honestly, with the way Infinity War was, I would almost prefer that, because that just means more story to be there. AgroDad Gaming, how you doing, brother? Please stick around. As you can see, I'm by myself today, and I'm really struggling on stories and stuff, so I'd love some Q&A. Right now, we're talking about... right now, we are talking heavily about Avengers 4 reported that it does not have an ending as of yet. So, what's your take on that? What's your take on that? Do you think that's a good thing that they don't have an ending yet? As I was saying, I think it is, because I think they've spent most of the time of working on the storyline to tie in what happened in Infinity Wars. So does not have an ending, no. So I think that's a good example. And like I said, with an ending not there yet, they may be actually thinking about extending to maybe an Avengers 5. That'd be my thought, and I think that'd be a great idea, because I think the story and the plot would demand it, almost like a Star Wars trilogy, if you will, where 5 becomes where things really go dark and downhill, and then we finally get our resolution in the 3rd film. Yeah, AgroDad, for those listening, AgroDad agrees with me that it sounds like them trying to find a way to stretch the film maybe into another film. So yeah, that I agree with that. I mean, I'm fine with it. I think that's a good idea. I don't necessarily think that's anything to worry about. They got plenty of time before 4 comes out anyway. And they can handle most of the post-production while figuring out how they're going to end the film. I mean, majority of the film is post-production CGI anyway. So, let's see here. What else can we talk about? Well, as everybody knows, Spider-Man for PS4... they had to have a conclusion in mind, but maybe they don't know how they want to get it there. That is a good possibility. That is a good possibility. As everybody knows, Spider-Man for PS4 has been released. It's all over Twitch. Even Doc in the Blue Box, a.k.a. Brian Miller, is running a Let's Play of it right now. Well, not at this exact moment, but right here on Twitch. Does lead me to a question I wanted to ask, and I'll answer it myself, obviously, because I'm the only one on the show right now, but it does lead me to a question I wanted to ask. This was one of the big anticipated games of this year thus far, was Spider-Man, and it does come out, and it comes out to most people telling me it's pretty much the Marvel equivalent of the Arkham series. Like, it's that good of a game. Its story is solid. Its gameplay is solid. From what I understand, it's going to be a hit. It's going to be a major hit game. I have not picked it up yet. I want to. I haven't yet. But it made me wonder with all the games that are coming out, because we are coming up on the holiday seasons and stuff, and that's usually when games really start to drop. Of course, we've got like Call of Duty Call of Duty Black Ops 4 coming, and Fallout 76, and Doom Eternal, and the like coming up in the video game industry in the next couple months. And it made me wonder what you guys were most looking forward to. Now that Spider-Man's out, what is the next big game that has everybody's attention? What are they waiting for? You know, myself, it's Fallout 76, like without question. And it really makes me wonder because I'm a Bethesda fanboy. I'll admit it. I love the Fallout franchise. I love the Elder Scrolls franchise. The fact that Bethesda is now involved with Doom and stuff like that, I really think they got a third huge franchise on their hands because Elder Scrolls is such a fan favorite existence. Fallout is a fan favorite existence, and then if Doom Eternal hits the way Doom 2016 did, they're never going to be making any other games except for Doom, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls. I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. The movies were okay. The comics were meh, but the games I've played have been pretty fun. I've heard this game has been fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly what I've heard, Agrodad, is that this game is literally Marvel's equivalent to the Batman Arkham franchise. And quite honestly, for me, watching what little gameplay I was able to see, it kind of reminds me of a kind of a cult following Spider-Man game that was on Xbox 360 and PS3, which was called Spider-Man Web of Shadows, which was very open world, very good story driven, you know, because you were being, in that game, you were torn apart between the symbiote suit and non-symbiote suit of Spider-Man. And your actions had consequences depending on whether you were in the black suit and you were aggressive, or if you were in the red suit and you were, you know, nice guy Peter Parker. The gameplay and style of it really reminds me of that game, which is a compliment because Web of Shadows, I think, at the time, was my favorite of the Spider-Man games. Red Dead Redemption. I'll be honest, I've never gotten into the Red Dead series. I seen like the one where it looked like this like Dirty Harry dude kind of running around fighting zombies in the Old West. That is Red Dead, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm not mistaken that with another franchise. But it didn't really catch my attention. It might be a great game. I mean, it's cool that you're looking forward to it. That's a big one. Here, the question, I guess, is kind of misleading. Yes, okay. I'm not mistaken. Okay, it is the one I've seen before. All right. I guess the question I'm kind of indirectly leading to is, does anybody even care about Call of Duty anymore? Like, I remember Call of Duty, at least from back in the day of the Modern Warfare series. Okay, that was an expansion. I knew I see some gameplay of it, and I thought the name sounded familiar, but like I said, it didn't really catch my attention, so I've never pursued further of it. But yeah, the big question that I had with Call of Duty is, ever since the Modern Warfare series ended, and of course they took it to the futuristic levels with Ghost and Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, does anybody even care about the Call of Duty franchise anymore? I mean, it used to be a big deal. All right, dude, I'll be right here. Agrodad Gaming said he'll be right back. He's switching from phone to his laptop. Does anybody even care about the Call of Duty franchise anymore? I mean, it used to be a big event for Call of Duty to come out every year, which, I'll be honest with you, I always thought that was a little much to begin with, and I think they may have burnt their own fan base. Besides the fact of doing the We Want to Be Halo stint for a little while, which, don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed Infinite Warfare, the storyline of it anyway, the campaign game mode. And I hated Black Ops 3. I know people loved it. I hated Black Ops 3. Ghost was a lot better than people give it credit for. Advanced Warfare was a lot better than people gave it credit for. But it wasn't Call of Duty. It really wasn't. And then they went back to boots on the ground with World War II. But the thing is like World War II's been there, done that, you know, and that was the Call of Duty franchise for years up until the Modern Warfare series and Black Ops series. So what's the point? Like, give us something realistic but new. You know, whether it's another Modern Warfare or, you know, like I've said before, there's other wars to explore. You know, there was the Vietnam conflict. There was the North Korean conflict. You know, there were other wars that we can get involved with. Hey, welcome back, dude. You know, that they could have given. And then tack on the fact that, from what I understand, Black Ops 4 has no campaign. This is the first Call of Duty that will have zero campaign. But in its place is a battle royale like Fortnite. Is the Call of Duty franchise done? Is this their last ditch? Is this what's going? Some could argue that Black Ops was what revitalized the Call of Duty franchise. Is Black Ops 4 the one that's going to bury it? I'd love to hear your comments, because my comment is I don't even want Black Ops 4. I don't. I do have it pre-ordered because my girl wants it. They're all the same shit, 3-hour campaigns with the same rewashed multiplayer. Now they're trying to steal the Battle Royale formula. That's pretty much right, but I mean, what made it worthwhile for me was the campaigns, because even though they were 3 hours, and I've always argued they should be more longer, was the fact that they were usually well written, with the exception of Black Ops 3. Everything about Black Ops 3 I hated, absolutely despised. But the other storylines to almost every other Call of Duty were great, especially the Modern Warfare series. That trilogy was phenomenally written. But, you know, beyond that, just, I don't know. Is it a mistake for Call of Duty to take away their 3-hour campaign in place of a Battle Royal? Which, to be honest, I don't even get why people like Fortnite. I don't get it. It's boring. It's stupid. Okay, it's free to play. Great. Everybody could buy a game system, download it, and have a game to play. But I would rather run around playing Call of Duty or Halo or the like, because at least it feels like you're a part of something. This, you just kind of get dropped into something, and the first asshole that finds a sniper rifle takes you out, you're done. You don't get a chance to do shit in the game. You know, multiplayer and multiplayer and microtransactions make the money. Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't really think that takes the place of good writing and story. You disagree on Fortnite? You have a lot of fun with it. Well, I know you're running a game campaign on that, or not a campaign, but you know, been running streams on that. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just don't get into it. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I just am one of them bitter players who, you know, get shot as soon or pickaxe as soon as I show up in there, and it's ruined the fun for me. It's a very good possibility. I'm not one to turn around and say it's just really shitty game design, but to me, it really I don't get its popularity. I really don't. Why everybody and their brother is about Fortnite, and then all of a sudden it's spawned this, everybody's got to do a Battle Royale game. No, you don't. No, you don't. To me, that is lazy. You know, to quote Bethesda, first play, you know, save player one. Let's get back to real video games that have real stories and real purposes and real meanings with it. And let multiplayer be multiplayer. That's supposed to be an after you beat the game thing that you want to go play multiplayer, not before, or not even at all care about the gameplay at all. But again, that's just me. You know, so if you disagree with me, that's cool. Not, you know, it's just an opinion. on my part. I'm not calling you terrible people or anything else for having a different opinion. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm the first one to admit that maybe I just haven't played it right or haven't played it with the right people. Maybe I just am one of them really shitty players that had the fun, stripped out of me because I went in with the wrong lobby. I don't know. Any of it could be possible. So let me adjust my camera a little bit because I'm looking at more ceiling than me. There we go. That's a little better. Moving on. Moving on. Captain Marvel will not be an origin story. Thank God. Thank God. I mean, I don't know much about the Captain Marvel character. I know that was the original name of Shazam in DC. But Marvel sued and so on and so forth, and then it became Shazam, and now we have Captain Marvel coming to the big screen for Marvel. Okay, so that's your origin story. That's all I need. Every movie does not need an origin story. One of the greatest things that I thought about for Spider-Man: Homecoming was the fact that they figure by now the origin of Spider-Man. He got bit by a spider. He became a pro wrestler and failed to stop a robber from stealing, and the guy turned around, carjacked Uncle Ben, shot him, and Uncle Ben died. And that taught Peter his responsibility and everything. We know the story. We know it over and over and over again. So the smartest thing Spider-Man: Homecoming did was not... yeah, spoiler alert. He got bit by a spider. Badass. But the fact of the matter is that not every superhero needs an origin story. Or at least, if you're going to do an origin story, like because it's the first movie or whatever the case may be, a quick flashback is good enough. Like memory flashbacks during the first 15 minutes of the movie or whatever else while the character's in the middle of something and just remembering what they're doing. Like Captain Marvel, while she's taking down some bad guys and first appears on screen for us, she's having like listening to the bad guys on a port somewhere, and I'm throwing it out here, okay? And she has something they say flashes back to her training or her discovering her power or what her life before becoming Captain Marvel or whatever. That's enough of a origin story for me to be able to go, okay, I get who this character is now. We can move forward. You know what I mean? So that to me, that's great news. You're not bogging down the film with yet another origin story. So what do you guys think? Do you think that it's a good idea that we're not going to have a... Well, you and I are in the same boat. I never read anything about Captain Marvel. Like I said, the only thing I know about Captain Marvel is the fact that was originally the name of Shazam in DC. Until Marvel sued him over it, and that's why they changed the name to Shazam. So, beyond that, I don't know shit about her either. I know her name is Carol Danvers, her real name. Like the character's real name, not the actress playing her. But, and she's about as powerful as Superman. That's all I know. I don't know her specific abilities. I don't know her arch villains. I don't know anything about her at all. So, but even more so, because you don't know anything about it, is it a good idea that they don't give an origin story or a backstory to her for you to learn? Or is it good enough to go in, just go balls in saying, all right, this is Captain Marvel. Let's see what she does. You know what I mean? But while I'm waiting to see what he says, we'll take a look at some more things here. Does Black Panther have a real shot at the Best Picture nomination? No. Nah, well, all right. Let me rephrase. As a superhero movie, no. Not because I didn't like the movie, not because I did like the movie, because it's a superhero movie, and superhero movies are never taken seriously within the Academy. Um, I don't see it getting even a nomination, or if it did get a nomination, it's definitely not going to win. Um, any more or less than any other superhero movie on the planet. It has nothing to do with the fact that that it's Black Panther or whatever else. Because Agrodad Gaming is putting down, get ready for hashtag Black Panthers Matter. But that's not what I mean. Like, in fact, I think the exact opposite is true. If it gets any form of Oscar nod, it will be because it is Black Panther. It'll be because of that. I hate to say it that way, but it will be because of that. Stuff like that. Because there's been so many great superhero movies out there that had great story. Great Avengers. Avengers Infinity War is a perfect example. Or Captain America Civil War is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Like films that were, great story, great action, great effects, great acting, and stuff of that nature. Nothing out of the Academy because it was a superhero film. They're not taken seriously, and because they're not taken seriously, I don't see Black Panther being the exception because it wasn't. It was just another superhero movie. However, if the social justice warriors and all that want to throw their names and all that into the hat, then Black Panther could get serious consideration, but it won't be because it was a solid film, which I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, you guys know what I'm saying. It will be for reasons other than the fact of how good or bad of a film it was. And that to me is just not right. All of it's not right to me, actually, to be completely fair. I don't think it's fair that sci-fi and comic book genre movies don't get fair recognition by the Academy. I mean, the last couple films that won Best Picture out of the Academy Awards were like artsy-fartsy films that nobody even saw. Nobody watched them. Nobody cared. Nobody even heard of them. But these are the films that win awards because reasons. All your box office grabbers, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Captain America, Spider-Man, Justice League. I'm just throwing names out there. They never, ever get serious nomination. Why? They made the money. They have critical acclaim. They have fan acclaim. Why can they never have a nod? Why is it always brushed to the side because, pedestrian. I want to watch a 2-hour film of a vase holding daffodils in sunlight. Best Picture. I don't get it. I know art is in the eye of the beholder. I get it, but I mean, I don't get how people think that this is okay or that it'll ever change within the Academy. You know what I mean? I'll be the first to admit that I expected Panther to be horrible, but do extremely well because it was a superhero film, a more specific, a black superhero film, and the current racial tones that we're living with. But I love the movie. I really did think it was exceptional in comparison to some of the recent movies I've seen. Well, I mean, that's great. Again, I'm not bashing or dogging Black Panther. What I'm saying is if it gets consideration for Best Picture, it won't be because it was a superhero film, because superhero films get no recognition. We will never see Star Wars get a Best Picture or Best Director. It'll never happen. If it didn't happen with George Lucas in 1977, it will never happen. Okay? Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, just two that I'm throwing off the top of my head from Marvel, or The Dark Knight. for DC. Let's go Dark Knight. The closest it got was Heath Ledger getting an honorable award for Best Supporting Actor playing the Joker. But yeah, there was no dancing scenes and no pianos in Panther, so it's out. Exactly. But you know, what was I saying? Well, like, with the exception of Heath Ledger, because he died, they gave him the honorary supporting actor for the Joker. Dark Knight, considered the best DC live action film ever. If that couldn't get a nomination, what the hell is DC supposed to do with anything else? You know, if Infinity War or Civil War couldn't get a nomination, what's Marvel expect? If Episode 4, A New Hope, couldn't land the Best Picture in 1977-78, what's Star Wars going to do? These people don't care about those types of movies. We do as fans, of course. And we're the ones that pay the money to go see the movies. But our opinions don't matter to the Academy. So I don't know what format they use to do their consideration for nominations. But if Black Panther is seriously nominated or seriously considered for any nominations, it will not be because of how good or bad of a film it was. It will not be because it was a superhero film. It will be a political statement. The Academy takes movies being an art too far. I think comic movies are blackballed because they're so frequent, no movie would really have a chance. Yes and no, because again, yeah, they do take the art thing too far, but the frequency, it doesn't matter. The films are they're cash cows. You know, comic book movies sell. Think about the worst comic book movie in the recent, you know, MCU. Iron Man 3. Still made a bundle. It still made a bundle. It was still a solid film. It was still loved by some of the fan base. You know, I would put that up against anything the Academy claims is the artsy film every freaking time. I don't care what you say. Well, I care what you guys say. I care what you guys say. I mean, I don't care what the Academy says. You know what I mean? Yeah, some. It wasn't a great film. But most people have a problem. All right, Iron Man 3. Let's be fair here. Iron Man 3 was not a terrible film. Most of the fan base, their problem with Iron Man 3 was the misuse, or the misdirection, I should say, of the Mandarin. All right. Especially using somebody like Ben Kingsley to do the role. I'm fine with it. I'm fine. First off, I don't have an emotional attachment to the Mandarin. I don't even really know who the Mandarin is. I wasn't that big of a Iron Man comic book fan growing up, so I don't know who the Mandarin is. That being said, the misdirection I thought was funny. I think the only disappointment I had to the Mandarin misdirect was that we never got a chance to actually see the Mandarin. And I don't mean in Iron Man 3, but maybe in Iron Man 4, or since we stepped into the Avengers universe, why the Mandarin isn't involved in some way, shape, or form, especially before we got to the Infinity Wars and Thanos, why the Mandarin did not become a major player since he was misdirectly introduced in Iron Man 3. I think that in itself is a missed opportunity, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think that the misdirection was a bad idea, if that makes sense. The way they use the Mandarin would be like turning the Green Goblin into the Easter Bunny. Well, they did in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Look, I'm sorry. The whole Harry Osborn Green Goblin thing in Amazing was horrible. The kid who played Harry with the little whiner, reject from Twilight, horrible. Okay, Give me James Franco and the new Green Goblin from Spider-Man 3 any day over that piece of garbage and amazing. But I get your point. But again, the Mandarin was not the Mandarin. He was playing a role. He was paid to play a role. He was an actor. He was an out-of-work actor playing the role of the Mandarin. The Mandarin was never seen in Iron Man 3. He was not there. He didn't exist. You know, so excuse me. That's what I think a lot of people seem to forget about Iron Man 3 was that when they argue about the Mandarin debate was the fact that the Mandarin wasn't even there. He was using actors to play the role of the terrorist leader, so people had no idea who the hell the real Mandarin is or what he looked like or whatever else. You know, they were keeping the Mandarin as an ideal as opposed to a physical being, and I think that's smart play, but I think it was a misused smart play because it was never touched upon again. After Ben Kingsley was shown to be, you know, some out-of-work Australian actor, you know, who wasn't even that good of an actor and was scared shitless of the things that he was supposedly doing, they never re-explored finding the Mandarin or who the Mandarin is or what the Mandarin is in any film, whether it's Iron Man 4 or, you know, whatever other tie-in movie you want to throw in the Marvel Universe thus far. They've never gone back to explore that further. And I think that's the waste. I think that's what's wrong with the misdirection of Ben Kingsley's false Mandarin character. For what that's worth, you know. And maybe I'm defending a turd. I could be defending a turd. I've done it before. I defend Battlefield Earth with John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker, okay? I'll defend turds. I don't mind. But I'm not saying that it was a great film. It wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't a great film. I don't think it was as bad as people consider it. And the only thing I'm arguing against in whether you like or hate the film is remembering the fact that the Mandarin was not the Mandarin. He was not supposed to be never was he supposed to be the Mandarin. He was only supposed to be a guy pretending to be the Mandarin. That's all I'm saying on that. All right. Well, Agrodad, you got any questions you want thrown in? Because that's pretty much what I had in order for this show. Oh, I got a good one to ask you while you're thinking about your question. Star Trek. We can't do a show without talking some form of science fiction. So at least I'll start with Star Trek. With the return of Captain Picard to the Star Trek franchise and the DC All Access. I wish I knew you were short Brian. I would have called in. Well, I mean, you know what? I know zero Star Trek. Sorry, but no, that's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, I'll say it real quick to the fan base out there because I also have a Star Wars one because the Star Wars one I was saving for the end. But the Star Trek one is with Patrick Stewart returning to the role of Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek. I believe it's a spin-off show. It's not Star Trek Discovery. I could be wrong. All right. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not Star Trek Discovery unless they find another time-traveling rift in however Star Trek does that crap. I think Patrick Stewart is supposed to be reprising the role of Picard in another film. Or not another film, another Star Trek show. Do you think this is going to be something that'll save the franchise? Because, quite honestly, look, STD's garbage. It's absolute filth. The fact that it's even getting a season 2 is almost a smack in the face of Gene Roddenberry, and not just my opinion, a lot of Star Trek fans' opinions. Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery, I suffered through it. And the fact that they even are considering season 2 is just insulting. But I'll personally, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with. All right, cool. I definitely want to check out the topic. Okay, not a problem. So my thought process on it is very simple. It's like I'm excited for Patrick Stewart's return. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Jean-Luc Picard, especially if he's no longer attached to the Enterprise. Like if he's Admiral Picard or something of that nature. So, I mean, that type of stuff interests me, and I'm especially interested in returning to the futuristic Star Trek. With Star Trek, the movie reboots being set back in the original series timelines, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? But we've lived there. We've been there. Excuse me. I'd rather take a look at new. And I think that's one of the things I hate about Star Trek Discovery is it takes place during the time of the 5-year mission. Or not really, right before the 5-year mission. When Captain Christopher Pike is in charge of the Enterprise. The fact of the matter is the Enterprise is out there. Okay? The original series is happening just before or just after Star Trek Discovery right now. So it makes no sense to me. But a future Star Trek, something beyond the last couple shows, I'm for. All about it. So I'm just curious what you guys think. All right, Aggro Dad, I'm ready when you are, man. What's the topic you want me to discuss? And if it's Star Wars, I bet I know what it is. Because I am holding on to that. That's going to be the last topic of conversation today. So, Mayans MC. Yes, I forgot about Mayans MC. Mayans. Yes, that was on again tonight, right? I have that on my DVR as we speak. I believe it is Mayans MC. As for those of you that don't know, Agrodad Gaming and myself are both on a 10. Okay, so I've got 45 minutes. Cool. Are both Sons of Anarchy fans, and both of us were hugely, hugely looking forward to the spin-off show from Kurt Sutter, dealing with the rival MC gang of the Sons of Anarchy, which was the Mayans, and this show is representing of another a charter of the Mayans MC taking place in San Bernardino, or just outside San Bernardino, I believe. Southern California. It is not the main charter that we're used to from the Sons of Anarchy TV show. However, there is appearances from Marcus Alvarez, the president of the Mayans Club. I don't know if he was the founder of the Mayans, but he's definitely the president of them. And the like. There was other cameos, which I'll be honest, the cameo, and I'm trying to be vague about it for people that may not have seen the premiere yet. The Sons of Anarchy cameo that happened in a flashback, I really could have lived without, but I understand why he did it, because, well, it's Kurt Sutter. Of course he's going to do it. The other cameo of Robert Patrick and the San Bernardino Sons of Anarchy I thought was phenomenal and really kind of short-lived. I mean, I'll admit it, man. I squealed like a 10-year-old little girl when they called out the Reaper has landed, and here comes, a whole bunch of Reaper patches. I'm like, yeah, it's the Sons calling the Reaper. Yeah. I squealed like a little girl, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like right on, but I felt it was really short-lived. And it's kind of disappointing that the only appearance of the Sons of Anarchy were not mainstay characters. However, seeing Robert Patrick reprise his role as president of San Bernardino, which for anybody who followed the original Sons of Anarchy TV show, in the final season, San Bernardino's president member was the one who called for the vote for Jax Teller to face Mayhem for killing the president of Indian Hills Charter. So it was nice to see him back in the role. At least it was one returning character back in the cut. So overall, I thought the first episode was kind of slow. I did think it was a little slow. But you know what? The first Sons of Anarchy episode for season 1 I thought was kind of slow. It took me a couple episodes to really get into Sons of Anarchy when I first started watching it. So I thought the characters were interesting. I really did enjoy the dynamics that they gave some of the characters, including Easy and his brother, and what they're involved with. Again, trying to remain very neutral in what I'm talking about here. The only thing I really am concerned about, is there is a lot that we're being introduced to all at once. There's a lot of parts in play all at once and not gradually introduced over time in that first episode. And I'm afraid that I don't know if Kurt's like rushing to get the stories out there in case he gets canceled again like the Bastard Executioner did. Or if he just, was really rushing out every idea all at once. I don't know, but it really felt like there was a lot being thrown all at once. With Easy having his loyalty split, with his brother being involved with things behind the MC's back, with the involvement of the DEA already in episode 1. All these things mixed together. It was a lot of pieces being juggled together in the first act, the first episode. The Mayans, yes. Or people were used to the chaos on the Suns and didn't want to step back and slow play the Mayans. I could kind of see that, but at the same time, part of what gave the Suns its appeal, besides its humor, was the fact that a lot of its storylines were slow burn. You know what I mean? That you could have episodes where you could take a breath, and then episodes where chaos really didn't reign, except for when in season 3 or 4, when Jax's son got kidnapped and taken to Ireland. And then it kind of settled down again until Tara's death. And that's when Jax went all hell breaks loose. But in between, you had minor excursions, but there was never really that much chaos. Mayans can slow back down, really get to know the characters and care about the characters, and then start introducing these things to it. But again, what do I know? We're talking about Kurt Sutter. The guy created Sons of Anarchy. The guy created some of the best episodes of The Shield. You know what I mean? And worst season writer strikes. Yeah. And then, of course, the guy is now creating Mayans M.C. I'll be the first one to admit, I was disappointed that it was going to be the Mayans spinoff instead of the first 9 that we were promised. Or taking a step into the future with the Sons of Anarchy where Abel returns to the MC or something of that nature. I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to see any of those things. But, so I was a little disappointed that it wasn't them. That being said, I'm all about Mayans, man. I'm ready to... This is one of those things, like, I already came in with high expectations because of Sons of Anarchy. And I'm really excited to see what other cameos that we're going to have from the previous things, whether it's in flashbacks like the one cameo that I don't want to give away was, or if we have a glimpse into the post-Jax MC. It would really be cool if we wind up seeing Chibs as president with Tig as VP showing up in an episode. You know what I mean? Of the Sons of Anarchy Sam Crow division. That would be an awesome thing. I'm on board. I'm really on board. I just hope that Kurt settles down in what he's doing and gives us a slow burn, the long run like he can do and has proven he can do with Sons of Anarchy. As far as a premiere episode, I would give the out of 10, I would give Mayans MC, I would say a solid 7. Because there was times that it dragged. Like, it took a little too long to get going. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought that was a missed opportunity with Danny Trejo not being the boss and having his son. But I can understand why they're doing it, like you said, because they wanted to show that this kid is an issue where Danny's character was not. You know, Danny's character, even though very dangerous, was as shown in Sons of Anarchy. He was a lot more reasonable of a human being than what they're presenting his son to be. And it's an interesting dynamic of what they put Danny Trejo's son in with involving Easy. But what's an interesting tie-in? What do you mean, what's an interesting tie-in? Uh, yes, that is true. And I wonder if the son ever knew that. Who's to say the son himself isn't a DEA informant as well? That is true. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. Danny Trejo's character was a DEA informant for the cartel. And yet Easy is working with the DEA, yes. But he's forced on it. He's not doing it voluntarily. You know, so... All right, but yeah, so 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. It was a solid story. It dragged in some points, but it was an interesting way of introducing the new characters in this new world in a new part of California, but knowing that everything that had existed, Agro Dad Gaming gives it an 8. Knowing that everything that has existed in the Sons of Anarchy universe does exist in this universe or has existed in this universe as well. So that's really nice. So there's a lot they could play with here, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. Final story of the night. It was reported last week that there was a couple new actors coming to Star Wars Episode 9. Well, recently, Star Wars had released... It is nice to be back in that universe, yes. Star Wars has released a listing of kind of character descriptions, and one has raised a lot of eyebrows, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it, because we know there's a couple new female characters that are coming in late to the casting and all that, but at the same time, there's one particular female name that seems to be raising a lot of eyebrows, and this character description was a person who is in her 40s or 50s, female, strong-willed, you know, whatever. They only gave the first name, and that first name is Mara. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Is J.J. Abrams trolling everybody and saying, Mara Jade? Or is it simply a coincidence? Or is he telling us that we are actually getting Mara Jade? And who plays it? Because, you know, the name's there, but it's not attached to anybody in particular. You know what I mean? It's not like the character descriptions have the actor playing the role. So we don't know who it is that's playing it. But we know that Mara Jade, well, not Mara Jade, I don't even want to put that out there, that is definitely the thing, because I get shot in the head if anybody doesn't believe it. That a female character named Mara is scheduled to be in Episode 9. How excited for you guys is it? Exciting for you is it to believe that maybe it's Mara Jade, or do you believe it's not Mara Jade? It's just a coincidence of a character named Mara. Or, last but not least, is it simply J.J. Abrams screwing with the fans because he knows they want Mara Jade? Personally, I think he's just trolling us. I think he's messing with us. J.J. is known to do that. Do I hope we finally get to see Mara Jade? To shut the fan base up? Yes, I do. But do I need it now that Luke's already dead? No. No, I don't need it. I would need it if we ever did a spin-off young Luke Skywalker movie. You know, dealing with the existence of the time in between the Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens. That's what I would want to see it happen. Beyond that, I mean, you could give me a character named RJ, but it'll never be the same. You know what I mean? So I can care less one way or another. That being said, though, I have no problem with the fact that they did bring her in. I'm not saying like I'm not saying that if it turns out it is Mara Jade, I'm going to be like, oh. No, I'll be excited. Great, she's canon. Right on, let's do it. But it would be more exciting for me to see the dynamic of her and Luke on the big screen. If that's the story that they choose to tell. Because, again, they could cherry pick the EU. We know what she was in the EU, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what she's going to be in the current canon if that's what they're going to do. But what do you guys think? That's what I want to know. Make sure you leave a comment section down below so I can check it out, and I will read them off next week. Guys, that's going to do it for me. That's going to be a slightly short episode for RadioCast FM. I hope you enjoy the music that's going to be contained afterwards here. But also, guys, on Twitch TV, thank you very much, AgroDad Gaming and everybody else for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you follow so you always come back every Tuesday to check out Breaking the Fourth Wall, as well as checking out all the great Let's Plays from Press A Gaming, and of course the other great podcasts that we do now stream live on Twitch TV. Also, YouTube. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did in any capacity, hit that thumbs up button. Share and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out all the Press A Gaming Let's Plays and all the Realm of the Mist Entertainment podcasts. Patreon subscribers, thank you very much for your patronage. I hope you enjoyed this early access to this video, and as promised, there are new things that are coming exclusively for Patreon only very soon. I would say somewhere around the holiday time, so somewhere around November, December is when we're going to start kicking those into gear. So stick around, man. That's going to happen. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Next week, Brian Miller will be returning with me. So until then, I'm out. Have a good week, guys. Have a good one.